Guys, and welcome back for our final installment for the Eastern Conference on our Worst to First series here on hoopslounge.com. Today we're looking at the Cleveland Cavaliers, and who better to have joining us, Mr. Justin Rowan. We have them overall number one. I had them at number two. If you watched our last episode on the Miami Heat, you'll understand why. And Justin, of course, has them at number one. The key additions this year, Richard Jefferson, really like that one, Mo Williams, and Sasha Khan. This is a team that came just shy of winning the NBA championship due to some brutal injuries and really had to wait on a bench that wasn't supporting them. Now this is a much deeper team. They're healthy. Justin, we're looking at the regular season. We spoke in the last show of how they took a bit last year to kind of come together and gel. They're together now. They know each other. What do you expect of these Cleveland Cavaliers in the regular season for the 2015-16 season?
Well, first of all, we should probably acknowledge that there's no way that I have any bias on this topic at all. I do think the continuity is really going to help. The instant results after the January additions of Amon Shumpert, Timofey Mozgov, J.R. Smith, they were incredible. When the big three was healthy after those trades, the Cavs went 33-3. And then you add even more depth, which I think they were deeper than most people give them credit for, because they were able to make the NBA Finals without Kevin Love, with Kyrie Irving missing significant time. It's just when you move bench guys into the starting lineup, you lose whatever bench you did have. Now, the addition of Mo Williams, I think, is probably one of the biggest ones for the Cavs. In the past, or at least last year, LeBron and Kyrie Irving were the only playmakers capable of generating and initiating offense. So what that meant is that there was no way that you could have a really functioning offense without those players on, which meant you can't have Kevin Love in a featured role. I think now you're going to be able to stagger the minutes a little bit more so that Kevin Love can be a number one option while those two rest. And you have him playing off of Mo Williams. You have J.R. Smith likely coming off the bench as well. So you have a lot of offense in that second unit. Plus Richard Jefferson, who is one of the top three-point shooters in the league last year, who will be spelling LeBron. So I think the continuity, familiarity is really going to help. And also the additions really complement the core very well, and it's going to bring the most out of this team, I think.
Absolutely. I agree with you on all points. I actually think Richard Jefferson was a fantastic, way underrated pickup, because my one worry was that who's going to spell LeBron James. We've seen who they brought in to spell the forwards, spell the guards, but LeBron James was my concern. I think, at this point of his career, being able to play a little bit less and still get those wins is going to be an important factor. And Mo Williams, we saw even last year scoring 50 points for the Timberwolves. He's still got some, and he can still shoot. And adding shooters on a team, perhaps I sound weird in saying this, but I kind of liken it to when they had Boobie Gibson there in Cleveland, having that guard who can shoot, create a bit of offense, but still play to LeBron's strengths, because that, after all, it is his team. Now, to quell the haters, we'll call them, perhaps myself included in some of this, convince me that they're a good defensive team with Kyrie Irving and LeBron and Kevin Love on the team.
Well, the thing is, I think the notion of Kyrie Irving being a bad defender is very outdated. Most of the metrics do show that he is a plus defender at this point, at least above average. In my opinion, he's a better man defender than Matthew Dellavedova is. He has a long way to go defending the pick and roll, which is also my concern with Kevin Love. Kevin Love isn't a great pick and roll defender by any stretch of the imagination, but like Kyrie Irving, Love is a good man defender. He's someone that takes charges. He's good positionally. He played a lot better defense when he was healthy. And the Cavs defense was actually 3 points per 100 possessions better defensively when Kevin Love was on the floor as opposed to on the bench. So both of these players had a positive impact on defense. Kyrie Irving getting older, stronger. He's more familiar with NBA point guards. He's only going to improve defensively. I've never been a big believer that point guard defense has a huge impact on team defense. We've seen teams with a bad point guard defender play good team defense, like Chicago with Derrick Rose.
San Antonio Spurs.
Right. Because so much of the team defense or point guard defense is reliant on how you defend the pick and roll, which if the Cavs figure out a way to continue to defend the pick and roll well, and Tristan Thompson was instrumental in this, and that's why he was used in the fourth quarter. But if they can defend the pick and roll, which is my biggest concern with them, I think they're going to have a lot of success defensively. Now, in the regular season, I don't think they're ever going to be a great defensive team, especially with LeBron basically not trying on defense in the regular season. He saves himself. So what we see in the regular season is there's probably another level, another gear for this team defensively when they reach the playoffs.
Okay, I see that. How do you see that front court trio of Tristan Thompson, Kevin Love, and the big man from the East
from Moskov?
Out. Yeah, exactly. Like, how do you see the starting rotation? How do you see the subs? Because, if you're going to pay Tristan, I mean, it's still up in talks a lot of money. You're going to really have him come off the bench? You're going to have to pay Mozgov a lot of money as well.
Well, I think this is going to be the last year with Mozgov. I think they are going to pay Thompson a lot of money. Obviously, the negotiations are still ongoing. But Mozgov's also going to be due a lot of money, and I just don't think you can do it. I don't think you can commit to an then 31-year-old center for 4 years for massive money. I do think they do start Mozgov again next year. He's usually good to play about 20-25 minutes, and he doesn't really have versatility like Thompson. Like, Thompson can play both power forward and center. The Cavs, their big three with Thompson at center, outscored their opponent by 21 points per 100 possessions, which is just ridiculous. So when you play Mozgov his 20 minutes at center, that leaves 28 minutes maybe for Thompson, or 23 to 28 minutes for Thompson at center, and then Love's going to play his 34, let's call it, minutes at power forward. That gives you another 14 there. So Thompson's going to play both of those backup roles and play a considerable amount of more minutes than Mozgov, as he did, or as we saw in the playoffs. In the fourth quarter, I think they go to the lineup with Thompson at center. That was what they did in the past. That's their kind of closeout lineup. It's their best lineup offensively and defensively, as I told you the net rating before. So I think the total minutes and finishing games to me is the most important thing, and I think Thompson is going to be rewarded with that. And really, he's commanding the amount of money he is because of how good he is, how effective he is with the big three, and because he is being asked to take a supporting role, even though he does have a couple elite skills. So I think it is going to work out. I just think after next year, they're going to need to find a replacement for Mozgov.
I can see that. And so what you're basically saying is Tristan Thompson, while some people may be seeing him as an undersized center, is potentially, given the state of the modern NBA, potentially a great center moving forward, considering his skill set and his ability to complement the big three. Now, the big three is kind of the subject of my second part of the question. When you have three guys who are used to scoring the ball, how do you see this offense working between Love, LeBron, and Kyrie Irving?
Well, I think they do fit really well together. I think they do complement each other's skill sets really well. I think this team does have a legitimate shot at winning a title. I don't think there is a challenger really in the Eastern Conference. Like, there are good teams, there's better teams. Kevin Love, how he's going to fit in with those guys, I think he is going to have more of a featured role than in the past. Him being healthy is going to make a very big difference. We saw with 2 days of rest, he scored about 21 points per game and had 10 rebounds. So even in his limited role, he was still very effective when he was healthy and when he was taking care of his body. So I think we're going to, again, how they're going to function together. I think LeBron's going to still be the primary playmaker because he still wants the ball in his hands a lot. Kyrie's going to be the secondary playmaker, getting about 5 or 6 assists a game, playing off ball, on ball. And Kevin Love, with him being healthy, I think you're going to see him get a few more touches in the high post or operating out of mid-range. But for the most part, how they were together once they had all the pieces in place was so good. You don't really want to break up a good thing. But in staggering the minutes a little bit, I think you're going to be able to rest the players and have them a little more fresh for playoffs. And there's less likelihood of them being hurt down the stretch.
No, I agree with that. I think the thing that hurts me with all these additions, and I know it's good for them, there's going to be less Delhi time. Matthew Dellavedova being kind of a cult favorite after last year's playoffs. Now, if you, people were questioning David Blatt when they hired him, and he obviously proved a lot of haters wrong. I mean, we saw 2 rookie coaches in the NBA Finals. I mean, it doesn't help having the best player on the planet at small forward for you. If you had to voice a concern for the Cleveland Cavaliers, aside from injury, of course, where would your concern lie?
Like I said before, I think pick and roll defense would be the biggest concern. I think if you get Kevin Love kind of operating in space, it's certainly not his strength defensively. I don't think teams can consistently exploit that weakness enough to match the Cavs' offense. I don't think teams could really avoid stalling out the rest of their players by consistently going to that one facet of the game. But if I had to pick a point of concern, even with Mo Williams coming in, because Mo Williams isn't very astute defensively, I would say the pick and roll defense is the biggest concern with the Cavs moving forward.
Which could be very interesting depending on who they end up playing in the playoffs, and particularly against the Western Conference with the pick and roll offense being, we saw with Golden State last year. They just ran off that play after play after play, and the inability to guard that, to me, was one of the determining factors in a lot of their wins going through the upper echelons of the Western Conference. But we'll speak on that when we cover the Western Conference. So these Cleveland Cavaliers should be finishing number 1. A lot of fun to watch. Let's hope they stay healthy. We have a new slim down, for once healthy, Kevin Love, and it should be a fun team to watch. So for myself and Justin, thank you for joining us for another episode of Worst to First here on hoopslounge.com. Please leave your comments below. Let us know what you think, and we'll catch you guys next time.